Hello, Bluecoats. It's Mr. Harris here for the second edition of your home science experiments. There's experiments that you can carry out with simple items at home. Just before you start, remember to get an adult to help you at home and check that everything's okay, so that it's super safe and you can get on with it together. Right, we're going to look at today's experiment now, so I'm just going to share my screen. But children, before we do today's experiment, an excellent way of helping you to learn is to try and remember things or retrieve things that you did a little bit of time ago. So if you did this experiment last week, then trying to remember why that happened will mean it stays in your brain longer. So we did the pepper and washing up liquid. So what I want to do in a moment is to pause the video and try and fill out the missing words in these sentences. So, adding the washing liquid, the at the center of the water. The surface tension stays in the rest of the water, so it pulls the water outwards, taking the pepper with it. So pause your video now and try and say those sentences out loud with the correct words. And I'm just going to go through the answers now. So it should be adding the washing liquid reduces the surface tension at the center of the water. The surface tension stays the same in the rest of the water, so it pulls the water outwards, taking the pepper with it. Okay, we'll move on to today's lesson. So don't need much for today's lesson. You will need one small or medium plate, preferably with a white base, and you'll see why that is later. You'll need some Skittles, the edible kind, not the ones you knock over with a ball. These have stayed in the house for a whole week now. Hannah hasn't eaten them because I had to hide them. So, if you have got these, I hope they stayed with you. And then just a jug of warm water. So that's all you will need. And the name of this experiment is the NHS Skittles Science Experiment. I'm going to explain to you a scientific concept now. That sounds very serious, doesn't it? A scientific concept. But it's something that explains what's going on in the world. John, I know it's difficult at the moment with the coronavirus and everything else, but there are hundreds of scientists and doctors and researchers, thousands even, who are doing these things. So maybe by you carrying out these experiments, it might inspire you to become a future scientist or researcher who's trying to solve these problems. Today's scientific concept is dissolving. That's dissolving. And dissolving is a process where a substance, that's a thing, is mixed with a liquid, and the liquid seems to disappear. We call the substance a solute, and the liquid the mixture is called the solution. And I've written there that it seems to disappear, but actually it has become a mixture. You just can't see it. I'll give you a real life example which you might be able to relate to, is when someone puts sugar in a hot drink, like a tea, for example. So here's a chance to test out what you've understood for dissolving before we do the experiment. Bit similar to what we did before, just out the words. So I'll read them out with the blank. When you prepare a hot drink, the sugar is the The hot water / tea is the and the mixture becomes the The sugar has in the water. Pause your video now and try and say the sentence with the correct missing words. Say it to your brother, say it to your sister, your mum, your dad, whoever is in the house with you, but say it out loud. Okay, so the answers. When you prepare a hot drink, the sugar is the solute. The hot water / tea is the solvent, and the mixture becomes the solution. The sugar has dissolved in the water. Right, now on to the best part, the experiment. So I'm going to just try and share my, there are my Skittles and the plates, but I've got another plate here. Right, so first of all, what you need to do, and I've kind of started to do that just to save a bit of time, is arrange your Skittles so they're a circle towards the outer part of the plate. Now, mine are a little around the inside, but you'll be able to see here that they kind of move about if you have them to the end. So I'm just taking the spare ones out at the moment. You might have a few spare ones that you'll be able to share with people after you've done the experiment. But you want a nice circle around the edge because that will clearly demonstrate what we're trying to show here, and that's the dissolving. Okay, I might put another one in there. And children, whilst you're doing this, might be quite interesting if you try and have different colours next to each other. So not having all the red ones together and all the green ones together and all the purple ones together. Try different colours because that might demonstrate what we're doing here a bit more nicely. Doesn't have to be a perfect circle, as you can see. Mine's not quite totally round, but it's enough. Now, what we're going to do in a moment, my jug of water, I'm going to pour that over the Skittles in the center of the plate so it covers the Skittles. But just before we do that, scientists love to make predictions. That's usually why they are carrying out the experiment. So, just before you start this, another chance for you to predict what's going to happen and see if you're right when you do the experiment. So, what do you think will happen when I add warm water to the Skittles? And there's a few sentence starters there to help you. Adding water to the Skittles might. I predict that will happen because when water is added to the Skittles, the water should. You can see, children, there's actually 3 modal verbs we use there. When we're making a prediction, it's very common to use modal verbs because we're predicting what will happen. We don't know exactly what will happen. So that's why we have words like might, should, could, can, or if we're really confident, you could say will. Okay, back to my plate of Skittles. So this is the part where we need to be quite careful. So I've got the water here. I'm going to pour it in the center of the plate, and then you pour enough that it covers the Skittles. But you have to pour it in slowly because otherwise they'll start to float all over the place. So I'm going to do that now, and then watch what happens. We don't want it to go over the top of the plate, but cover the top of the Skittles. You can see how I'm slowly doing it. And then all we need to do is wait. And children, it's as simple as that. You may now be understanding why we called this experiment the NHS Rainbow Skittles experiment. Children, lots of people have been drawing rainbows to show their support for NHS and key workers, which is why I thought this might be a nice experiment to do. Because we've combined a bit of learning with a bit of support for those people who are helping us out at the moment. I'm going to take a photo of this because I'd love to share it. So, move that out of the way for a second. I'll take the photo. Okay, we'll go back to the smartboard now. Starting to look a bit messy. You can also see, children, quite clearly that the Skittles have actually just turned white, and there's very little colour left in them. Do this carefully because it may well spill. That's a good point, actually, children. When you're moving the plate afterwards, do be very careful. It can spill over the side, as I found out to my detriment earlier when there was water all over the kitchen floor. What's going on here then? Well, this goes back to our dissolving. Skittles contain, that means have in them, some coloured dye and sugar. The sugar and the dye dissolved quickly in the warm water. The sugar and dye were the solvent, the water was the solute, and the mixture of sugar, dye, and water was the solution. So that's where our scientific concept has matched up to the experiment we've done. I would love you to have a go at that now, children. There might be some extra things that you can do. So what would happen if we use cold water instead of hot water? Does anything change? Putting some sugar in the center of the plate after the Skittles have dissolved. So if you've got a sugar cube, that could just go in the middle. Why do you use all the same color of Skittles? Could you try a different sweet? Would it work with M&Ms, for example? And finally, I've not written that in there, but what happens if you mix the water afterwards? Does anything special occur if you sit there and wait? Your teachers really want to see what you've been doing with your science experiments. You can take a photo just with your parents' mobile phone or a tablet, click share and send it to the year group email address. You prefix it with your year group and then it's at bluecoatfederation.co.uk. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Should come back to me. I hope you really enjoyed today's science experiment. I know I have. Looking forward to seeing what you've been up to. Soon. Bye.